Yes.
Whoever.
This meeting is called to order. At this time, for those who wish to join us, Dr. Trevor Riley will lead us in the invocation. Followed by the invocation will be Junior Riley with our Pledge of Allegiance.
If you would, bow your heads. Our Lord and our God, thank you for, Lord, the men and women who have gathered here today to be about the business of running the town of Fletcher. We pray and ask that you would grant them wisdom, knowledge, discernment, and understanding, that you would grant them clear minds, clear hearts, O God, and that by your will you would guide every step of the way. We ask these and all blessings in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen. Let us stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job.
Do we have anyone with us today who wishes to speak during public comment? Mr. Olson of Fletcher, the floor is yours for 3 minutes, sir.
Thanks so much. I want to take a moment to reflect on the election last week and congratulate our new mayor, Preston Blakely, our 4-term council member, Sheila Franklin, and our newest council member, Trevor Lance. We should all be encouraged that our town has such capable residents willing to step forward and serve. We should also be proud of the incredible turnout we saw, well recognized in the local press and missed that our mayoral race had 1,305 ballots cast, just 1 vote shy of doubling our previous record in 2009. I'm grateful for those who ran and everyone who came out to vote. Hopeful that all the candidates' work has inspired a new era of engagement and participation here in Fletcher. Here on today, and hope to see more come out from the town, but that's maybe in the future. I hope going forward we no longer see vacancies on our advisory boards or qualified applicants from across Fletcher willing to step forward and take personal responsibility for our town's future. I hope we never again see an uncontested race here in Fletcher, and based on the level of engagement we saw last week, I think we will not. Now we look forward to Fletcher's future. It's time to put away the tools of competition and rediscover those of cooperation, to bury hatchets and begin building bridges. The issues identified by residents over the past several months need to be addressed by this body. These are not partisan or national issues, but issues that impact the day-to-day lives of our neighbors here in Fletcher. I intend to work to serve my community as a private citizen as best I can. I will work to highlight important issues and share them with this body, and to share what goes on here at Town Hall with our neighbors. I will advocate for transparency, accessibility, oversight, and accountability. I will call out abuse. I believe good governance requires transparency because sunlight is the best disinfectant. An engaged populace requires accessibility. The median age in our town is 42 years old. That's a lot of young family and working professionals here in Fletcher who simply cannot make it home from work, get food on the table, and find childcare and be here at 6 p.m. twice a month. Effective oversight demands thoughtful application of this body's decision-making. Decisions on behalf of the people of Fletcher should be based on truthful information and what is best for the town, not personal relationships and arbitrary whims. The accountability follows naturally so long as we adhere to these principles and make wise decisions when problems are identified. I'm grateful and so glad to live here in Fletcher. We are also blessed to call Fletcher home, and Fletcher is truly blessed to have so many remarkable residents. I have faith in Fletcher's future, and I'm proud to share her prosperity with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have anyone else from the public who wishes to speak? Seeing no one else, we will move on to the minutes. Do we have any corrections, additions, deletions from council related to the minutes that have been presented? Seeing none, do we have a motion to accept as presented?
I'll make the motion. Second.
We'll say Councilman Henderson made the motion. Councilman Blakely seconded. All those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Those minutes are presented. Do we have a motion related to the single item on the consent agenda? Do we have a motion related to the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The consent agenda is approved. The next item of business, it is my pleasure at this point to recognize 10 of our outstanding Town of Fletcher staff members who have reached their 10th employment anniversary or greater in increments of 5, 10, 15, etc., while pointing out that all of our staff members are great, but once again, because of the commitment that these 10 individuals have placed here with the Town of Fletcher, I am recognizing them this evening. The list comes from 10, 15, 20, and 30, but the actual certificate does have the current year listed as of 2021. So first, Lieutenant Brian Fuller. It reads, Certificate of Achievement presented to Brian C. Fulmer for 10 years of service to the Town of Fletcher, North Carolina. Thank you for your contributions and your commitment. I say thank you, and thank you. But you can't have a legitimate celebration without a bottle of something, so in addition to that, you have this. Lieutenant Detective, who is not here, but I shall read it, says Certificate of Achievement presented to Daniel J. Burrell for 10 years of service to the Town of Fletcher, North Carolina. I thank him for his contributions and his commitment. The Chief will make sure that that makes its way to the Lieutenant Detective. Gregory C. Walker. And I did not add that the list of 10 would be the individuals who had reached that milestone during my term in office. So during the last 4 years, these 10 have hit 10, 15, 20, and 31. Certificate of Achievement presented to Gregory C. Walker for 12 years of service to the Town of Fletcher, North Carolina. Thank you for your contributions and your commitment. The Captain. The lover of chocolate cake. Certificate of Achievement presented to Jose F. Gutierrez Jr. for 13 years of service to the Town of Fletcher, North Carolina. Thank you for your contributions and your commitment.
Thank you.
Our church clerk, our town clerk is not here today, but this is presented to Christine F. Thompson for 13 years of service to the Town of Fletcher. I am thankful for her contributions and her commitment. The Town Manager. Certificate of Achievement presented to Mark E. Beaverdorf for 15 years of service to the Town of Fletcher. Thank you for your contributions and your commitment. The Planning Director Extraordinaire. Certificate of Achievement presented to Robert E. Rufa for 18 years of service to the Town of Fletcher. Thank you for your contributions and your commitment. My sanitation partner. Come on down.
You remember that?
Hardest working man in Fletcher right here. Certificate of Achievement presented to Anthony Argona Jr. for 18 years of service to the Town of Fletcher, North Carolina. Thank you for your contributions, your commitment, and your direction that day on the back of the truck. And the one, please forgive me, Mark, who runs everything around here, our Administrative Services Director. Certificate of Achievement presented to Heather N. Taylor for 21 years of service to the Town of Fletcher, North Carolina. Thank you for your contributions and your commitment.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
presented to Cynthia J. Broom for 30 years of service to the town of Fletcher. Can we give her a hand for 30 years? And we are definitely thankful for her commitment and her contributions. Give everybody a hand for all of them. Our next agenda item would be our annual audit presentation. I shall yield the floor to Carol Avery with the Loudermill Church Company.
Get here early enough to fighting traffic.
Well, there you
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
First of all, I want to thank y'all for allowing our firm to do the audit again this year. The audit report has been sent to the LGC. We do not have an approval back on it, but I don't foresee any changes to it. And so I'm going to go ahead and go over the highlights, what I handed y'all. And the general fund, which is your main operating fund, which is where your police department, your utility, your waters, or your sewer pickup, garbage pickup, and police, and all transpires there. Your cash investments at the end of the year was $5,734,239, which is an increase of $1.4 million. Regular cash is $1.3 million, and your restricted cash, which part of that is streets, is $613,434, and public safety, $12,898. Your total assets is $6,684,023, which is an increase of about $1.4 million, and that's mainly the increase of cash. Your fund balance at the end of the year was $6,572,553, and that is an increase of $1.5 million, and that was net income for the year. Your total revenues was $8,612,218, which is an increase of $986,000. Your ad valorem taxes increased about $240,000. Your sales tax about $266,000. Now interest was down about $37,000. Nobody's paying anything these days. Your ABC revenues were up $120,000. You got some COVID relief money was $352,000, and your recreation was up about $22,000 this year. Your expenditures were $6,943,000, which is an increase of $42,000. Your general government had about $95,000 decrease. Public safety about $123,000 increase, and mostly of that was from your fire department contract. Your economic was up $13,000. Transportation was down about $22,000. And your cultural and recreation was down $150,000, and your debt was up about $175,000. So as you can see that your revenues went up about close to $1 million, but your expenses only went up about $42,000. So you did a good job of controlling your costs this year. Your transfers was $97,827, which is made up of $30,054 coming back in from the Highway 25 project, and then $127,000 going out to your economic development project. Your had other financing sources and uses was the sale of some equipment for $14,760, and you had an increase in fund balance of $1,585,444. You had appropriated to use a little over $1.1 million, and actually, that was before transfers, and actually instead of using fund balance, y'all added to it $1.5 million. Your ad valorem taxes was $4,803,527, which is, I guess, an increase for growth for the town. And your percent collected is 99.2%. The state average is 98.96%. And a town your size, that's not an electricity, is 98.53%. So your collection in property taxes is higher than the state average and higher for towns, the average for towns your size. Your investment income is $1,168, which is a decrease of about $37,000. Your available fund balance is 80.27 compared to 53.27 the prior year. And the town has an established fund balance policy of 45%, and the state recommends at least 8%, so you're well above that in both respects. Then the other funds that you have was your economic development acquisition project and your Highway 525 project. Both of those were closed this year or completed. You had revenues in the project at $149,408, which was some DOT funds. Your operating expenses was $247,233. The Highway 25 project was $119,000, and your economic development was $127,000. There were no other operating revenues, and your transfers was the same as between the general fund, with the Highway 25 sending back $30,000, the economic development receiving $127,879. So the town did very well this year, especially with COVID and all. Y'all maintained your expenses and your revenues were up.
Any questions from council? Do we have a motion to accept the audit?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of accepting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is accepted, and we thank you for your work.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, I'll
Yes,
just, if I can just add something, so with our unassigned fund balance going over the 65% mark, we'll revisit or look at our fund balance policy about the advice or procedures once it hits over 65%. So come back to you with a report on that.
Thank you.
And I just want to say that Heather and her staff probably do the best job of any place that we go.
Thank you.
They do a wonderful job, and like I say, probably really do the best job of any place that I work on, and that's really commendable.
Thank you for all your work.
All right, thank you.
And Heather prepares the financial statements. A lot of places they don't
Yeah,
have that.
she is one of the very few
capability.
that actually prepares the financial statements.
Right.
I'm very impressed with, first of all, the growth in 1 year. I mean, you look at those numbers, that's quite a bit. And then the fact that we're able to keep our budget in line and still be doing well, I think it's very impressive.
I'll just say one thing, and last year was a very interesting year for budgeting purposes, because when we went into fiscal year 2021, we were unsure of COVID, so we brought our sales tax numbers down, we tried to bring our expenditures down. So we tried to budget worst case scenario, but our sales tax grew, people were out spending their stimulus money, so our sales tax was increased, and we also got a $352,000 CRF grant, which helped to the $1.5 million increase in fund balance. But if you kind of remember the past few years, we've been going into fund balance for the past couple of years, so it's kind of nice to swing it back.
And I think most towns have saw an upswing in the sales tax. I think it wasn't expected to stay with the money that people got, they were out spending it.
Again, thank you.
All right, thank you.
The next agenda item is my proposal for a second COVID-related bonus for staff members. The information is outlined in the memo in the packet. The only thing that I would point out is the figure after figuring in retirement and taxes would actually be $13,917. So is there any discussion from council related to this proposal?
I I personally think it's very warranted.
I agree.
Do we have a motion on this item?
And also, excuse me, before you go to the motion, Mayor, we've got the budget amendment attached to that. I don't know, I didn't catch if you had said that. So if you approve it, this is ready to go. We won't need to bring a budget amendment back at a later date.
So we're basically approving them both at the same time.
Yes, I think we can get the motion.
Well, yeah, well, let me frame it. Is there a motion to approve the second bonus and the budget amendment as indicated in your packet?
I make a motion to approve the budget amendment number 2.
We have a motion to approve the budget amendment for the second COVID bonus. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is approved. Item number 7, Mr. Town Manager, the purchase of some property.
Okay, in your packet, you've got a plat map and a quitclaim deed. This was prepared by DOT, their right-of-way office, to basically finalize that small rectangular piece of property that is adjoining where the clock tower area is. And this is the piece we've been working on for years. As a part of the process, we were trying to acquire all the other parcels there between East Banyan Bridge and Howard Gap Road. So this is finally done to finalize that, and it'll be $2,600 to purchase it. I would need a motion by you all to approve it, and that would finalize our purchase of that small residual piece of acreage, and it's very small. It's 0.025 acres, so a little over 2/100ths of an acre. And with your approval, then we would pay DOT that $2,600 amount, and they'll record it, and then it'll be under the town's ownership. And then this would be part of the block of properties that we'd be transferring or selling and transferring title to the developer.
Is there a motion to approve the purchase of the residual DOT property outlined in your packet?
So moved.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Purchase is approved. The next agenda item would be the replacement for the gateway sign at the north entrance to town. You have the options in your packet, and at this point, we need to decide which option is best preferred. The options are numbered, so feel free to either discuss the options or make a motion related to an option.
And I sent these out to you previously, and some of you have provided feedback on it. And not to lead you to the one that you should approve, because we're looking for you to make the final decision on this. I know staff looking at this with option 1 was kind of I guess a preference, or what we thought looked maybe the most aesthetically pleasing of the 3 options. But y'all, please look at these, and if you can make a decision, then we'll move forward with the final design and the sign being constructed and the panels put in at the gateway sign location there in front of First Citizens Bank.
Is there any discussion or motion?
I would second that as far as liking that option. I like the option 1, the way the staff did as well. I think that the words are real easy to read on that black bar on the bottom, and they're all very similar, but I think it stands out the best. So,
I agree.
I'm open for discussion, but I would make a motion to accept option 1. There's discussion or whatever anyone else thinks.
Well, are you making an option? I mean, an option. You can make an option as well. Are you making a motion?
Preston had anything else to add?
No, I like option 1, I like a modern look.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Bob?
I like the pine trees in option 2, but I can live with either one.
I like the pine trees. I think I was just noticing I really liked how
Do we have a motion?
A motion by Sheila.
Well, she didn't officially make it.
Oh, okay.
Let me throw one other thought out there. Would be agreeable with anyone else to go with option one, but switch out the pine trees with the, whatever they are?
I think that's a great idea. I'd be happy with that. May I make a motion to do that, Mark? Is that okay with you?
I'm sorry, I'm
Yes.
flipping
You
back
have-
to it, and I just want to make sure I get my note on that correct. So you're saying, Bob, to do what?
Put,
To
put,
the-
put the pine trees from the second one in with the sign of the first one.
So replace that.
Right. I don't even know what those are.
Okay, pine trees from the second one, oh, where they've got this other foliage there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do we have a motion?
All right. I'll make a motion to accept option one with the exception of adding the pine trees on option two to the image on option one in place of the leaves.
We have the motion, we have a second.
that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of option one with the replacement of the pine trees, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is approved. The next agenda item, Mr. Town Manager, your additional comments.
okay. Just a few things, really. The town center project, I was really hoping to be able to, this evening, go through, and there's not a lot of revisions, just we've had a lot of discussion and deliberation here back and forth on some of the final pieces of the economic development agreement, purchase and sale agreement, which would consummate this deal with the developer. I know the two attorneys going back and forth have essentially agreed to the final revisions, but I just don't have them in the final document. So we're pushing to have that done. I know our attorney had a conflict with this evening, and that may have delayed some of that. But we're anticipating this, and then what I'd like to do is brief you again on any final portions that are in there, make sure you're comfortable with it before we either have a special call meeting or it goes to another regular meeting. We were trying to get that done really hard this month, and it's not necessarily out. I floated a couple of special call meeting dates for you, and if any of them, probably the later one, which I believe is the 29th, may still be in play. So those dates, if you can still kind of hold those, and then as soon as I can get that, brief you with it, and advertise the special call meeting, because we'll have to do a public hearing, we will do that. You know, worst case, it gets pushed back a little bit further, but we're very close to being able to have you consider approval. I just want to make sure everybody's comfortable. The good thing is, you know, the developer side's really been scrutinizing this, and we know they're looking hard at all the details, and of course we are as well. But it's, I just want to let you know, and I've been emailing you and giving you updates, but just wanted to say that here. So that's where we're at with that town center agreements. Unless there's any questions on that, the other thing I wanted to mention is a couple other things. I was approached by Hugh Clark, who of course you all know is former council member and is also a member of the Fletcher Fire and Rescue Board, the board of directors, and has expressed interest in our green building over here that we affectionately call it the green building, but the big storage building that's right across the way there that basically Parks and Rec maintenance is using part of the building, and then a bunch of it is unused space in there. It's a big building. There's a lot of room in there. He approached myself and Heather and talked to us a little bit about the fire department wanting to potentially use some of that space for storage. They're in the process of looking for, well, they have some other land out Spruce Creek to either build a storage facility there for surplus equipment, or they've come up with the idea, which would be a less expensive option, and understand the interest of utilizing some of the space in the green building. And one thing they've suggested, or he suggested, is in exchange for some lease to do that they would do renovations to the building, like maybe reskirt the exterior and do work on the roof, either repairs or replacement of the roof. So it's significant to do that. Obviously, the big thing is you've got the whole town center, part of Fletcher. The master planning has us tearing that building down eventually, and the road most likely going through there, or part of commercial development. It could be a number of years before that happens, and we're at the doorstep of consummating this agreement to get that going on Highway 25 portion. But this may take some time for the domino to fall on that. So, and I wanted to throw that out there. I told you I would mention it probably under manager comments, not necessarily as a separate agenda item, but if there's any interest in us at least exploring this as an option, we'll continue to do that. I do want to spend some time with Jabo Presley and Greg Walker, walking the building, looking in there, and just kind of strategizing how much space, if we continue to use it for some extended period of time, do they need before I would really recommend you seriously consider a lease arrangement for the fire department to use some part of the building. I'm not there recommending it to you yet, because I feel like we need to do that, plus the whole town center master plan of a potential road through there. So I'm sharing this with you for y'all to, you don't have to answer right now, but to think about it, or if you have any initial comments about it.
Well, let me ask this, is this body interested in the town manager pursuing that?
I think we should, as long as they realize that it's not a permanent deal. It would help out the fire department. I don't want to spend too much money on the building itself, because we know we're going to be taking it down.
Right.
Is the building secure enough for whatever they would want to do in there? In other words, are the doors lockable and stuff?
It's secure. It's not in the best of condition, and part of the reason why what we do put in there, one part of the building, is so kind of haphazardly stationed, is because it leaks, and it's functional, but they want to do some work to it if they're going to put their equipment in there, and nothing final as far as what the offer was, but some of the things he mentioned was maybe redoing the exterior with new sheet metal on there. I don't know how expensive that would be to resheet the exterior and the roof. And then also possibly, I think, some lighting maybe inside there, and maybe some heat source. So those are some things that he discussed with me. But initially our response is, well, no, because the master plan has a road going through there, and ultimately we'd have to ask you to vacate and do that. So if you're interested and want us to continue to pursue it, I do want to spend some time with staff to make sure we're comfortable with the amount of space that the town needs right now, and maybe in the at least near future, before commit to something, or at least get them to put a more formal proposal on what they propose. And you need a careful lease on this, because if they're going to invest money in the building, obviously they're going to want to be there for some period of time, or if they have to leave sooner, do they recoup some of their expense, that kind of, there's a lot of ways you can skin that cat.
I think we should continue discussions and aim toward
Next thing, FABO annual board meeting, or their annual meeting, where they invite all their membership. We've been traditionally hosting it at Town Hall. It's next Thursday at 5:30, so November the 18th. That's next Thursday at 5:30 to 7. It'll be up in the multi-purpose room. Sometimes some council members come if you're interested to see what's going on. And the last thing, we're organizing a reception to thank Councilman Eddie Henderson here for his many years of service to the town, coming off of the board. So the reception is scheduled for the last day of this month, November the 30th. That's a Tuesday, November 30th, from 3 to 5 in our multi-purpose room, and we'll have refreshments, and we've got a flyer. You all seen the flyer, and we're trying to share this with people in the public that would be interested to come. So that's all I have there, and we have a closed session.
Anything else from council?
I would just like to say that, as you know, you were here, and as was Eddie and Preston. The veteran ceremony Saturday, I thought went very well. The speakers were unbelievably interesting. My son came over from Raleigh, and he was so impressed. He said he wants to come back every year to do this now. So I think that's a great program you started, Eddie, and I hope we keep it going.
I'm sure we will.
And I commend Greg and Hunter and anybody else involved in actually doing it, and the mayor was the MC, so thank you.
Anything else from council? Do we have a motion to go into closed session for a matter related to negotiating? So moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of going into closed session, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are in closed session in the community room.